Let's get to the top story of today. Waukesha. Am I saying that right? I don't know. But new details are emerging about the person of interest in the deadly Wisconsin holiday parade. There was a holiday parade in Waukesha. It's like a relatively wealthy part of Wisconsin. They were having a holiday parade. Kids were on the streets. Older people were on the streets. They were just celebrating, you know, Christmas, and some piece of shit in a red SUV ran through the crowd. I believe the last number I remember was 5 people were killed. Their age ranges are from 52 to 81. Among those injured in the attack were 18 children, and I think it's like more than 40 injured total, if I'm not mistaken. But 18 of those 40 that were injured were literally children. So we know the man as a Darrell E. Brooks, a 39-year-old Milwaukee man who's now facing 5 counts of first-degree intentional homicide after authorities said he drove a red SUV into a Christmas parade on Sunday, killing at least 5 adults and injuring more than 40 others, including a dozen children. Mr. Brooks steered the SUV through barricades, ignoring the warnings of officers posted to protect the parade moments after leaving the scene of a domestic disturbance. The incident was not related to terrorism, and Mr. Brooks was not being pursued by the police at the time. He was captured shortly after, speeding away from the scene. We have no information if Brooks knew anyone in the parade, Mr. Thompson added. Mr. Brooks has been free on a $1,000 bail in an earlier criminal case in which he accused of running over the mother of his child in the parking lot of a Milwaukee gas station with his maroon 2010 Ford Escape earlier this month. Racist CNN has nothing to say about Waukesha parade perp. Wonder why? Uh-oh. I suspect he's black then. That's what's going on, right? No shot would Steven Crowder make a video like this if the dude isn't black. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like classic. He's black, yeah. People are mocking Black Lives Matter in Rittenhouse trial. Yeah, totally. Remember, when Kyle Rittenhouse goes to a Black Lives Matter protest with a gun and partners up with a bunch of Proud Boys and other white supremacists, that's actually not political. He's just defending private property. But when a fucking random black dude is a psycho and wants to murder people or whatever the fuck is going on, we don't know. Well, then that means he's actually doing it for Black Lives Matter. He's actually responsible for every black person ever. This very simple concept is actually at the heart of racism. When a marginalized community's member decides to do something that is a crime or awful, he is immediately the representative of every single black person. Well, no, that's not how this works. I don't see a white person and automatically assume that they're going to be a defending private property and doing some self-defense. That's just not how that works. And when someone is white, they do benefit from being the default position because no one thinks that way. We don't have a monolithic approach to white people. I know there's chatters in here that are doing that currently and they're memeing about it, but like the reality is no one actually does that shit. And that's because it's the dominant group. Did you get possessed by Sam Harris? No, I just have my voice is out, so I have to be quieter and calmer.
So yesterday, you all know that a car plowed through a Christmas parade in Wisconsin.
Oh, it wasn't a gay pride parade, so no one will care.
Right, exactly. No one will. No.
I don't understand. Aren't they doing misinformation right now by claiming that no one will care when this is literally like everyone is covering this already? Like they've been covering it since last night. And they will continue to cover it as more details come up. It's a national story. It's top trending. CNN is covering it. New York Times is covering it. I mean, let's go. NewYorkTimes.com. Let's take a look. NewYorkTimes.com. Front page. Man intentionally drove into Wisconsin holiday parade, police say. Literally all the information is readily available right here. It's on the front page. CNN.com. Suspect faces 5 counts of intentional homicide in deadly parade tragedy. Officials identified the suspect and said he was involved in a domestic disturbance just prior. Every major news website is covering this, okay? It's international news for the most part. BBC is covering it, right? Now, when did Steven Crowder cover this? Well, he covered this morning. He went live this morning and he covered it this morning. Functionally, we know as a matter of fucking fact that mainstream media in general covered it at the exact same time that he's covering it.
And deliberately hits other people. The first story we were given was, it was another event that had taken place, a stabbing or some kind of violent crime, and then he was fleeing, and that was it. That was all we heard. Well, that's obviously not true. This wasn't the route he would have had to take to flee, and he was proactively seeking out people to kill. If you watched the video, which, look, take my word for it, I don't encourage you to watch the video. It absolutely is. This is just heartbreaking. I get a pit in my stomach even thinking about it. Kids who, as far as we know, could have been killed. But here's the thing.
But why is that? I don't mean to cut you off, Mr. But why is there a defense to it right away? Why would you jump to defending like, look, guys, he was...
Who is doing that? No one did that. Who was defending a fucking dude who drove into a crowd at a holiday parade? It's like, yesterday, someone burned down an orphanage. Why is the loony left defending this orphanage burner? You know what I mean? There's like driving into a crowd of people when it's a fucking holiday parade is just universally something that people are against. Who the fuck would defend? Maybe it's projection, I think, because conservatives do love defending people that drive into crowds of protesters. So that's probably why they like their immediate assumption is like the other side is defending this too, probably, right? Like it's what they would do. So they assume that like the other side or liberals would do that as well. But like this isn't even a political situation. It's just like it's a universal thing.
It's just fleeing a stabbing. It wasn't on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
There's nothing to defend.
You haven't heard of a good old knife fight?
Come on.
Mackay, that's what they do. And by they, I mean the kids.
Yes.
The kids. It's all TikTok and knife fighting these days.
Well, so what? So he stabbed somebody and was trying to get away and was driving it at
He's an
people.
influencer.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
for crying out loud. What are you doing? How about you do your part and open up the door to your Neiman Marcus for those in need?
Yeah. Well, Dave, you know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're providing cover.
Of course.
Or at least they're praying and hoping, like, oh, please, God, don't let this be in relation to the Rittenhouse verdict.
So one thing that I consider to be very weird in this situation is like there is no known political reasoning for this. Right? But it seems like Steven Crowder wants there to be one and is upset that the media is not saying there is one. But because like cops and everyone else involved in the case has said that there is no known, like there is no political reason for this, it's not like an act of terror or anything like that. He's upset, so he's moving the goalpost and claiming that they're not covering it fast enough, which we immediately destroyed. Obviously, that was such a silly lie to say. And that if they are covering it fast enough, they're keeping the details a secret. Well, that's also not true. Obviously, of course, they're not keeping the details a secret. It's in the articles. This is something that reactionaries who were Islamophobic would do about like the British news. They would say like, oh, they're hiding the number of like Islamophobic, or they're hiding the number of like Muslim rapes or something by hiding the data and claiming that it's just Asians, it's Asian attacks. When in fact, it was like American morons who thought that in the UK, the way to refer to people from Pakistan was Asian because they are in Asia. And in America, we don't do that. So our right-wing reactionary essayists thought that like the BBC was hiding the truth somehow when it's actually just the way that they've always covered it. It's like you are letting your idiocy and your stupidity guide your commentary here.
Is the media going to start getting charged for the stuff that they've caused for the last 2 years?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it would be never.
Never.
Well, they should be, because there's a difference between freedom of speech and inciting complete crime and violence.
Wait. You say inciting is bad. I thought they knew that.
Yeah.
But they've done it.
They want to claim that we're inciting violence by
That's
saying
their
don't
job.
allow yourself to be
Yeah.
a victim, whereas they go out and say, white supremacy, folks, the Kyle Rittenhouse jury shows you that white people can kill anybody in America. What if he was black? We're going to get to that in a second. Also, we have an example right here of how the media treated it very differently. So it just said person. Actually, at the time of this broadcast, or at least when I started this show, CNN still doesn't have a description of the suspect. They did not, as of 10:30 Eastern, a.m. on Monday.
They've revealed this information. It's already on. What's the take here? Like, let's go to CNN.com, okay? At least 5 killed after SUV plows into Wisconsin holiday parade. They have the information of the victims. They have information on the driver. They're covering it by focusing on the victims, as they always do, what's going on in Waukesha, sorry. And they've identified him as Daryl E. Brooks. As of what? 1 hour and 25 minutes ago. The police identify suspect in the parade incident. They wrote it down. There you go. So as soon as the police reveal the information, they reveal it as well. They put it in there. Do they want him to say like black male? Is that why? They didn't say like, they didn't do the Breitbart thing? Is that what it is? They should have just said he's a black male. Is that what the problem is? Wait a minute. When CNN reported the breaking news story of the Kenosha shooting, they don't mention that he's white? That's crazy, dude. What? They only say a 17-year-old Illinois resident connected to an overnight shooting during a protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin was taken into custody? Wait, stop. That's so racist of CNN to not do that, dude. Here's why this argument is so stupid. What do they gain from hiding this? There's probably no better example that like every story for Steven Crowder is just about, figuring out a new way to shit on, liberal media and like liberals in general and the left in general, then this one, there's information being drip fed and it's just simply a talking point to attack the fucking left wildly. And when there is nothing that the supposedly left or liberal media has done, he'll just make something up and say, well, actually, they just didn't cover it hard enough. Or, well, actually, they did cover it, but they just like didn't reveal that he was black. Okay?
So either they're not doing their job, they're really bad at their job, or they're lying. At what point do they cease to be useful? At what point do we realize that they are not news organizations?
20 years ago?
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
One of the last.
Unlike the real news organization, Breitbart, for example. The only real news organization is Breitbart, which famously had a black crime section on their website. They had a black crime tag. Breitbart, Latin American for Breitbart is a fluent Spanish speaker, that one of the most incendiary pieces to carry the notorious black crime tag was written by a man named Jerome Hudson, who, like some other black conservatives, worries that the focus on police brutality is siphoning outrage away from gang violence. Breitbart, up until I believe 2015, had a tag specifically dedicated to black crime. That's a real news article. Is that the only way to cover real news? Is that what it is? Is that how this works?
Time Ted Turner wrote out in a steer. Here's the police scanner that reported the suspect. This happened. You would think they'd have access to it, considering that we did.
Well, it's a Darrell Brooks. That rings for anything.
Moving A-firm, I ran that subject. Moss found his ID in the car. He is suspended. Looks like he's at least 199 on the system.
Copy. That's who he's identifying himself as. Lighter skin, black male, dreadlocks, red shirt, no shoes.
Now, I guess what CNN would have preferred the description be, he's
There is no preference here, dog. A person committed a fucking crime, and of course the mainstream media is going to cover it. Why the fuck would they try to hide that? Everyone is going to inevitably, once the police reveals this information, know this. And the reason why they're going to know this is because they're the fucking media. This is like how they work. He doesn't even give a fuck about the people that died. He doesn't even give a fuck about what happened. He's just using this as an opportunity to just say, why didn't CNN say black guy did this immediately? It's just, that's the only thing he cares about, even though CNN also revealed details about this person as they came out. And when they did, then it's like, okay, well then why can't you say black people are bad? Well, why is CNN not saying black man bad?
You know, with the hair.
Just grab a dog whistle.
Like, that's not how this works. I guess Steven Crowder never like worked for a journalist outlet. Okay, he's just like a reactionary dipshit. I have in the past. I also have other journalists that come on all the time. This is what I studied in college. The way this works is you don't just fucking trace 911 calls, okay? Monitor like police scanner 911 calls, 911 calls, and then fucking cover the story or write the story as a matter of fact. That's how you get shit wrong, because in the heat of the moment, cops get shit wrong all the time. That's why you have to wait for the police to make a statement. There is a press conference. There would be no need for such a press conference if everyone was just getting information from watching the fucking scanners. That's not how that works.
So this didn't stop leftists and media right away from jumping on to white supremacy Kyle Rittenhouse narrative. So journalist Chris Wiggins, who is not from a Dickens novel, tweeted, "It's okay. The driver in Waukesha was afraid for his life and defending himself from the unarmed holiday crowd. That's Wisconsin law now." Actor.
Oh, that's awesome to say.
Yeah, actor.
Have you learned what color the driver of the SUV was in Waukesha yet? So right-wing media can decide if running over people in a Christmas parade was terrorism, mental illness, or some acting. Wait, but that's actually good. None of these are criticisms launched towards a totally separate case. They are making political takes off of an ongoing tragedy, okay? Which is, and they're correct. Their takes are correct. Except Steven Crowder is literally proving the one on the right correct right now. Steven Crowder is in the process of showing a tweet that basically predicted his behavior. You didn't have to put that in there, brother. Why are you owning yourself? And then why are you uploading it? That person pre-watched what you were going to do tomorrow. That's how predictable you are.
Actor Angela Belcamino said the driver from the incident in Waukesha will claim self-defense. It's just the new normal. Writer Janice Hoff, have we learned what color the driver was so right-wing media can decide if running people over at Christmas parade was terrorism, mental illness, or someone acting in perceived self-defense? Okay, look. Do you not understand? We cannot find common ground if you don't.
Wait, does he think that those people were being serious, or does he think that those people, did he not understand what was going on? They're talking about something separate. Okay, the point that they're making is like conservatives will run to defend someone who drives into a crowd and claim it's self-defense if they think it's a conservative. They're not actually saying like this is literally what's going to happen.
Don't realize the difference between Kyle Rittenhouse cleaning up graffiti, providing medical care, and then being chased down by pedophiles, girlfriend beaters. I can't say wife beater because they don't put a ring on it, and serial criminals only shooting people who violently attacked him or tried to kill him, and somebody who deliberately plows through innocent women and children at a parade. Do we honestly want to act as though if you act like the only differentiator is race, you're a racist? And this is...
Wait, what? I don't understand. If the only differentiator amongst these instances is not race, which is not, he's right, then why is the title of your video Racist CNN has nothing to say about Waukesha Parade Perp? Wonder why? This entire video is just one big self-own. He's like, but you're doing that. Like, you're literally doing that right now. You took a story and you personally are claiming that because the person is black that the media is not covering it, which doesn't even functionally have anything to do with the story itself, and the media is already covering it. I'm so confused by this. Is this like Steven Crowder's method of broadcast is like not really addressing anything and simply just gesturing wildly, and you assume that because you're on the same team as the holster guy, you also are like, yeah, he's right. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need to actually make a good point or a coherent point at all. It's just he's right. He's right, brother, because he's right. Okay, he's right because he's right. He's right because he's a right winger.
The biggest problem that we have today, the biggest problem that we have with our media, is that it is intensely racist.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They are intensely racist, I do mean anti-white as a general rule. And I'm not someone who goes around and says, I'm proud to be white because I didn't do anything to be white. I'm not proud of my skin color.
Well, I'm not sick, but my voice is.
I'm not ashamed of my skin color. It's sort of a neutral, it's not a character point. They definitely have a bias against white people, and more importantly, they see everything through the prism of race. If the only difference you see between a Kyle Rittenhouse and this is race, you are a racist, and everyone in mainstream media. So, by the way, media hasn't done any digging. Now, people are wondering if there's a motivation here because it seems like a targeted attack.
Yeah.
His social media is full of pro-Black Lives Matter, which I define as a domestic terrorist group, and anti-Kyle Rittenhouse
Can
posts.
we at this point?
He tweeted a photo of a MAGA hat that said, wire Kanye's mouth shut again. All caps. I don't know if that's the name of an album.
It's too wordy.
Facebook, it read, religion is white supremacy.
That's good.
I mean, come on, for crying. They still don't have it up at CNN. Look, why is this story being buried? Look, right now they're talking about it. Right now, let's bring it up on CNN. Right now, let's see if they mention the guy.
Within at least 2 feet. I could have touched the car going by.
Was the guy white or black?
He threw his child out of the way.
I'm getting tired of this accent.
Natasha Chen joins us now from the scene in Waukesha.
Just a little bit.
Natasha, what
No
more
offense.
are we learning?
We go now live in Waukesha to...
I love this. They're literally like, why aren't they just constantly mentioning that he's black? I feel like what Steven Crowder wants is for them to literally just say, he's black, he's black, he's black. Welcome back to CNN. I'm Tom Handsome. Have I mentioned that the Waukesha driver was black? Why aren't they saying the N-word? I'm Steven Crowder, and my commentary revolves around why CNN is too afraid to say the N-word. That's what's going on. I love that they went in live. It would have been so funny if they actually mentioned or showed a photo of the driver. It would have been fucking hilarious because it would have defeated everything that they're saying. But how are you going to do agitprop in this way where it's like liberals only talk about race, liberals only care about race, liberals only care about race. I don't see any race. Why aren't they literally just mentioning race immediately? Why aren't they talking about race all the time? That's the only thing they should be talking about.
To the Avery family. Yeah?
It does take the seriousness out of it.
I don't know what happened there with Teresa Hallback at the parade.
But the police really wouldn't answer any questions about what role that person played or anything that person said to them when he or she was taken into custody.
Wait, he or she? He or she? Come on,
really?
moderately
Wow.
Asian reporter Natasha Chen. Do you not know?
Wait, I don't get it. Yeah, they might not know at that point. Like, the police haven't if the cops have not made an official release at that point, if the cops have not officially released the information, the appropriate thing to do in that situation is to not say something wrong. Also, why is he constantly talking about Asian reporters and saying like they're moderately Asian or very Asian or whatever the fuck? Like what is, oh my God.
Know if it's a he or a she.
Also, it really destroys Steven Crowder's argument that like conservatives see no race when he can't stop himself when there's a non-white person on screen. Literally, two white folk and an Asian lady, okay, on screen, and immediately as it pans to the fucking Asian lady, he's like, starts talking about race. For a guy who says he doesn't see race or doesn't want to talk about race and liberals only talk about race, he sure points out whenever there's a non-white person on screen. Kind of weird.
Non-binary. What happened? He or she? Did you guys see
It's
this?
a girl.
Did everyone just see this in real time? They have a hit list here of information, and it doesn't include the guy.
Wow.
At all.
Not
At all.
At
We
all.
don't have any information. Could you imagine this reporting?
Called it? What do you mean? Wait for the MB joke after the next. Oh yeah, he did. He said, wait for the MB joke after the next pause. Called it. CNN immediately shows a picture. Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you telling me that CNN has revealed the mugshot of the person who drove the car? No. That's crazy. It almost seems like this stuff is always going to be revealed inevitably. Why would they try to hide it? What would they get out of hiding it? To think that Steven Crowder's idiotic racist rants
In this
that have only gotten 178,000 views on YouTube are the reason why CNN is revealing information as it comes out is silly as fuck. I'm bored of this fucking rant. Wait, Steven Crowder. Okay, we gotta show this though. Last Steven Crowder piece to end this.
But
Steven Crowder, after accusing black people of being racist against white people, Steven Crowder declares slavery was never racially
think
motivated.
that actual racism, meaning that you have, not even necessarily that you view them as inferior, but a predetermined negative worldview of someone because of their race. Can happen in any group of people. Yeah. And I do think actually we're probably at a point where it happens more. You probably have more black people right now because of what they're being fed by the media who have a preconceived, incorrect, negative idea of what white people are than white people maybe have of black people. I don't know.
Dude, this is so awesome. It's a self-report. It infantilizes black people. It literally is like, yeah, black people didn't realize white people were racist until the media told them that was the case, you know? When the media did not exist, as a matter of fact, like during the pre-abolition era, pre-Reconstruction era, for example, black people were like, white people are so nice to us. That's what they were doing. They didn't even want to be freed, right? That's like, again, when a lot of racist people, whenever they talk about black people, they basically reveal their perspective on how black people are. They treat them as a monolith. These are quick things that you can figure out about a person, okay? Immediately acting like black people are a monolith, or infantilizing black people and saying that like, you know, black people cannot independently come to the conclusion that like, you know, some white people are fucking racist or the system is racist without the media telling them that is the case. And also on top of that, the media is teaching black people to be racist against white people.
Can happen in any group of people. And I do think actually we're probably at a point where it happens more. You probably have more black people right now because of what they're being fed by the media who have a preconceived, incorrect, negative idea of what white people are than white people maybe have of black people. I don't know. Maybe it's a 50-50 split, but it certainly is something. All groups can be racist. And the left just argues like, yeah, but only one can be systemically oppressive. Do you guys know? Maybe you guys can bring this up, the number. Do you guys know how many slaves there were in the North African sort of like Mediterranean slave trade?
I don't.
Do you know how many?
I don't even have
it. It was a million. It was a million slaves, right? People who lived on the Mediterranean coast, they were at risk. You know, you guys know about the history of North Africa, the Moors. People, and by the way, they were kidnapping white people.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, this is not something. Slavery is not something that has been racially based.
No.
Ever. Now it was codified in.
Why does he think this is a good point? Does he not realize that historically speaking, all matter of indentured servitude and all matter of slavery is incomprehensible when compared to chattel slavery of Africans? I don't get it. It's just like, does he not think that it's different? Yeah, other people were enslaved, certainly. It was a constant thing, except no one was targeted in the same way that Africans were, where they were systematically stolen from their lands and put in ships, and for as long as they were put in ships and sent to the United States or other colonies. It's like, I'm confused by this take. And also, it continued for a lot longer than the other kinds of indentured servitude or slavery. Some might even say that it's continuing to this day within the American criminal justice system, within a racist, white supremacist criminal justice system, in which slavery is actually legal. Still, how does Steven Crowder think? Well, he doesn't. But if hypothetically, if Steven Crowder thought, how does he think the slave owners justified having slaves? Why were they all black? It's just weird, you know? I mean, all slavery matters, but also for some weird reason, they just chose to enslave black people. Must have been a weird coincidence, I guess. You know, the one drop rule and white supremacy, white purity, all of that comes from how far away they are from blackness and black people. So that must have been just, you know, additional random stuff. I love this argument because like it literally is just like the maximum, like you can only be racist when you're saying the N-word, not after, not before, but during, when the start of the finish of the N-word with a hard R, and not when you're of course singing along with a rap lyric, but like just then. Only then are you individually racist, but even then we'll look for additional context to say that you're not. This is the maximum position you can get to when this is your worldview. Saying that like slavery technically isn't race, chattel slavery of black people is not racist. It wasn't built around race. That's fire.
Into law because most slaves at a certain point in the United States were black, but you can look at other countries where they decided, oh, okay, now we're going to try and ensure that we maintain control over these slaves. And so therefore you look at what are the majority of slaves? All right, we determine them by skin color or ethnicity or where they've come from, like the Indian people were enslaved. There are still people enslaved in the world today. Look, slavery is not uniquely American. It was never uniquely American. It still exists outside of the United States of America. Slavery was never racially motivated, to be clear. It happened in large numbers, to the tune of millions, black people enslaving white people as well. And it's wrong across the board. The United States...
Black people were enslaving white people? What? Incredible.
It's singularly unique in, however, recognizing and ending slavery because it was incompatible with the Constitution and the...
What?
Across the board. The United States is singularly unique in, however, recognizing and ending slavery because it was incompatible.
This is why they don't want like people to learn about slavery in school, so he can just like fucking say this stuff and people won't question it. He said, one, slavery wasn't race-based, or chattel slavery wasn't race-based, and the only uniqueness of like American slavery was because it was incompatible with the Constitution. Dog, the American Constitution was literally, the United States Constitution was written by slave owners, majority slave owners, and it was absolutely constitutional. Okay, it was absolutely constitutional and protected. This notion that they had robust debates about the humanity of black people is a silly one. It took a fucking entire war and the federal government to take action against the South. Not only that, but before that, it was straight up baked into our institutions with a 3/5 rule. So I don't know what kind of fucking idiotic person could say that. They like, this is insane. This is incredible. The 3/5 clause of the United States Constitution straight up dictates that like the African slaves were going to be considered 3/5 of a human. Okay. And the slave owners were advocating for that, actually. So remember that, because there was a population of slaves in the South, and the slave owners were like, well, we want them to be not represented, but actually, you know, we want to have more political power. Not only that, actually, this is perfect. It's like saying Hitler was good because he killed himself. Yeah, Hitler was uniquely good because he killed himself. Don't think about all the other stuff. Also, Americans were not only late to the game in abolishing slavery, but then also it didn't stop there. Americans took another 100 years to offer some kind of equality, which still doesn't exist to this day. But at least like some kind of like equality where it's like you can't outwardly fucking say like black people and white people can't use the same pool or water fountain. These guys are weebs, okay? Our history is really horrible. We are historically stands of slavery. So much so that we did not want to give it up for 100 extra years after we abolished it. So good stuff from Steven.